Alright, let's pick up where we left off. After the unsettling scene at Zoe's apartment, the police investigation kicks into high gear. They start combing through every inch of the place, looking for any clue, anything that could tell them where Zoe and her son, Caleb, might be. Most of her belongings seemed ordinary clothes, books, kitchenware. But then, inside a drawer of her small wooden desk, they found it. A small, unassuming notebook, the kind you might use for grocery lists or random thoughts. But what was inside was far from random. Only a single page had writing on it, scrawled in pencil, almost as if done in a hurry. The handwriting was shaky, urgent. It said, "If they find me first, remember, trust no one." Just that. A cryptic, terrifying warning. Who were they? And why shouldn't anyone be trusted? The message hung in the air, thick with paranoia and fear. It wasn't a suicide note. It was a warning. A message from beyond the vanishing point. Even stranger, the very next page in the notebook was torn out. The remaining edge was ragged and uneven, but it was also scorched, blackened along the tear. When the officer leaned in closer, he could smell the faint, distinct scent of a burnt match. Someone had not only torn out the page, but had also tried to burn it. What information was so critical that it needed to be destroyed so completely? Was it a name? A location? A confession? The missing page only deepened the mystery, creating a void where an answer should have been. But the notebook wasn't the only thing in that drawer. Lying right next to it was a small, black USB stick. It was completely generic, no logos, no markings, nothing to identify its brand or origin. It was the kind of anonymous tech you could buy anywhere. The detectives felt a surge of anticipation. In the digital age, a thumb drive could hold an entire life's worth of secrets. They carefully bagged it as evidence and rushed it back to the precinct's tech lab. What secrets was Zoe hiding on this tiny piece of plastic and metal? The technicians plugged it in, their hopes high. But the drive contained only a single file, a video file, just 17 seconds long. 17 seconds, that's barely enough time for a commercial break. They double-clicked, and a video player popped up on the screen. The image that appeared was shaky and chaotic. It was clearly filmed at night, in what looked like a sprawling, poorly lit parking lot. The camera, likely a phone, was jostling violently, as if the person holding it was running for their life, and they were. The video showed Zoe, her face pale and strained, clutching Caleb tightly to her chest as she ran. Caleb's small head was buried in her shoulder. They were moving fast, weaving between parked cars. The low-quality footage was blurry, the colors washed out under the harsh orange glow of the parking lot lights. There was no sound. The entire clip was enveloped in an eerie, unsettling silence, which somehow made the panic on screen even more potent. You could feel the desperation, the frantic pumping of her legs, the heaving of her chest, all without a single sound. Then, in the final moments of the clip, something happens. Just before the video cuts out, Zoe seems to stumble or slow down. She turns her head back, just for a fraction of a second, to look behind her. The camera catches her face in a sudden, jarring moment of clarity. Her eyes are wide, not just with fear, but with a profound, soul-deep panic. It's the look of someone who knows they are being hunted, and the hunter is closing in. It's a look of pure, unadulterated terror. And that's when they saw him. In the background, at the very edge of the frame, was a figure, a silhouette of a tall man, cloaked in a long, dark coat. His head was covered by a hood, pulled down low, obscuring his face completely in the shadows. He was just a shape, a presence of pure menace standing there. As Zoe looked back, the man in the coat took a step forward, and then another, quickening his pace. He was no longer just following, he was pursuing. He was coming for them. And then, just as he started to move faster, the video abruptly stopped. 17 seconds of silent, heart-pounding terror, and then, nothing. Just a black screen. The detectives replayed it, over and over, trying to glean more information. They enhanced the image, zoomed in, but it was no use. The quality was too poor. The man remained a faceless shadow. The location was a mystery. It could be any parking lot in any city. There was no timestamp, no date, no metadata on the file to give them a clue as to when this was filmed. It was a dead end, but it was also a horrifying confirmation of their fears. Zoe and Caleb didn't just leave. They were running from someone. This mysterious man in the long coat. But the scariest part of the entire video wasn't the chase, or the shadowy figure. It was Zoe's eyes. That final, panicked look she gave the camera wasn't just fear of the unknown. It was a look of recognition. It was the look of someone who knew exactly who was chasing her, and exactly what they were capable of. It was the look of someone who had seen this coming for a very, very long time. The question was no longer just where are they? The question was, who was this man? And what did he want with Zoe and her son? The notebook's warning echoed in their minds. Trust no one. It seemed Zoe was trapped in a nightmare of her own making. One where every shadow held a threat, and every face could be a mask. The police now realized they weren't just looking for a missing person. They were stepping into a conspiracy, and they were 17 seconds behind the monster in the dark. What happens next? We'll dive into that in the next part. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.